Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'll wait for some people to load in here before we start the dance, if you will. And looks like we got a lot of news in the breaking department. Yeah, none of it good. None of it good. What's up, Joshua? How are you? What's up, Renee? Hi, Susan. Hello, Karen. I was just kind of looking at some of the stuff people were sending in. Corey brings up Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We're going to look into that. And you guys have a little more election news some people are sending in. Let me get this ready in the wings here. And guys, keep sending stuff in. We still got room for more stuff, especially if you have anything that's breaking right now. We are going to talk about the shooting, which was not my original plan today. I got to be honest with you. What's up, Watson? What's up, Andrew? What's up, Darkstar? What's up, Ashley? What's up, Anthony? What's up, Daniel? Yeah, of course we can talk about Tim Canova. Somebody sent something in about Tim Canova. And we are almost at 30 people. Long Beach, what's up, buddy? Mark your calendar, by the way, Long Beach. November 29th is my album release party over at the dojo. There's going to be cake. There's going to be, and fellow Los Angeles folks, if you're in the area, November 29th is my album release show at the Sycamore Tavern for Politics Night at the dojo. There will be cake. Will be cake. Thank you, Andrew. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you very much. And guys, thank you for the compliments on the haircut. We're almost at 30. And, you know, I switched things up a little bit today, or I'm going to switch things up a little bit today. I was going to talk about something light. You guys know me. I like to end the week on something lighter for the kind of talking point that we launched the show on. But in lieu of what's happened this morning, I kind of feel like I can't do that. So unfortunately, that's just the way it's going to go here. We're at 28. We're almost there. And yes, it is a pretty sad morning. It's been a tough week overall, you know, it really has. I mean, it's... You know, election... I mean, I was talking about this last night. I mean, I'm used to not being happy after an election. I'm used to being disappointed. So there's that. And then, of course, there's more. And guys, we're over 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys send me articles, you send me ideas, and that's how we build the show. Today is no different. However, as you guys know, I usually like to start the show with kind of a question, kind of some thoughts, and we talk about it. I go to the chat, see what you guys are saying about it too. And I was planning on doing that today. I had a fun topic planned for today because I figured, look, it was an election week. Election nights are never easy. And even though there were some things to smile about in the midterms earlier this week, there were still a lot of things to be very frustrated about. I personally am used to never being happy after an election. But anyway, with all that said, I was going to have a lighter one for today, sort of have a lighter way to end the week. This is our last stream of the week. We always go Monday through Thursday. So I had a fun segment planned. I'm going to shelf that, and maybe we'll do it next Thursday because it's not a time-sensitive one. It was sort of like an evergreen one. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Pearl Center, I'll answer your question right away. Ron, how do I send you articles if I don't have a Twitter account? The best way to do it is in our Reddit subsection, reddit.com/r/GetYourNewsOnWithRon. So that's the best way to do it. And some of you guys are bringing up Jeff Sessions. Would love to talk about that later. But as far as starting off today, and again, this was not how I wanted to start off today. But this is what's going on in the news, unfortunately. And a tragedy happened kind of close to me over in Thousand Oaks. Ex-Marine Ian David Long identified as suspect. A U.S. Marine Corps veteran with suspected mental health issues killed 12 people in a busy bar in California, including a policeman, officials say. The shooting began at 11:20 or 23:20 local time on Wednesday in Thousand Oaks, which is located about 40 miles northwest of Los Angeles. At least 200 people were reportedly inside the Borderline Bar and Grill, which was hosting a student line dancing night. Police named the suspect as 28-year-old David Long. Earlier this year, police mental health professionals interviewed and cleared him after sheriff deputies found him behaving irate and erratically at his home. Police say the suspect was dressed in black, forced his way into the bar after shooting the bouncer. A college country music night was underway when the suspect apparently threw a smoke grenade before opening fire. Now, police say he legally owned a .45 caliber Glock semi-automatic, which had an extended magazine that is illegal in the state of California, but this guy got his hands on one anyway. They don't really know how many shots were fired. At least 10 people are known to have been wounded, and others are self-reporting with injuries at local hospitals. Popular among students, the bar is close to California Lutheran University. Whew, and here's a list of all the shootings. The worst ones, not all of them, but the worst ones. So that happened right near me last night. And, I was trying to think about this before I signed on to the stream here. Get Your News On with Ron is still a pretty new show. We've been around for less than a year. In our current situation, we've been around about 6 months. And I was trying to think, how many shootings, because the whole premise of the show is nothing's pre-planned. I don't have anything planned in advance. We just kind of base it off of what's going on in the news. And of course, if there's something very breaking and nobody else tweets it at me immediately, I'll go to it, But for the most part, nothing is pre-planned. We just discover news together, and pretty much a lot of this we're finding out together for the first time. And I asked me, I was like, how many shootings in the short period of time this show's been around have we uncovered in real time on the stream together? And there's been at least 3. There's been at least 2 school shootings. I'm pretty sure there was one in Kentucky. And then there was one in California, because that was like real close to where I live. And I remember we discovered that in real time. And now this one. There's others that have happened, of course. The one in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we did not talk about in real time because it happened on a Saturday. We don't stream on Saturdays. And I also think about how just in the time I've been home, I left the country. I was out of the country earlier last month. I got back on October the 26th. Just in the time that I've been home, there have been 2 mass shootings that have been reported on. And there was one that happened shortly before I got back. This is not normal. And no, other countries don't have this. Violence is... Yeah, other countries don't have this the way we do. Well, they have knife problems. Yeah, other countries don't have this the way we do. If you want to try to tie it up and put a bow on it and try to make it out like this isn't something uniquely American, you are wrong. You are wrong when it comes to gun violence. And, we talk about solutions, and I feel like we're almost just yelling down a well because we're not going to see... When's the last time you saw a politician seriously talk about gun control? I can honestly say never. I've never seen it in my lifetime. And I don't have much confidence I ever will. Because the NRA has the entire government by the gullet. So I don't think I'll ever see that in my lifetime. I've given up hope that that will ever change. I have no confidence we will ever see any type of common sense gun policy in this country in my lifetime. So as far as what's going to change about this, I don't have an answer. And yeah, I'm not going to bullshit you. Because, if I were less honest, I'd tell you we're going to see gun control. But what we got to do is this. No, I don't have any confidence that will happen. I have none. I have none that anything will happen at the federal level. I guess the only glimmer of hope is that something can be done in various states to try to lead a trend. And maybe that will lead to something federal. But even in that case, if some states do and some states don't, people can cross state lines. So I don't know how much. And I'm not saying gun policy would be ineffective. I don't think it would. I think it would be very effective. I think if we did something like Australia did, have a national buyback program, if we did something similar to what Switzerland does and regulate the amount of ammo one can have certain ranges designated, if we made people register firearms the way you have to register a car, if we had classes, if we had references, and legitimate background checks, real background checks. If you served and you have serious PTSD, then yeah, you shouldn't be able to just get a bunch of firearms. And maybe if we didn't have an economy of war, stuff like this wouldn't happen as much either. So let me see what you guys are saying. When will we end this kind of senseless rage? Good question. I don't have an answer for you. Jordan asked this: does anyone else have a lot of friends and family who are Dems, liberals, and did a complete 180 on guns since Trump? Now they are all getting armed. I do think people are a little more scared, and it's made people a little more militant. you know, I've been in progressive circles where people said, it's tough to blame them, but they see what's going on around us, and they say, learn self-defense. And when you see everything that's going on, I don't blame them. And that's just what you hear about in the press. I'm sure it's way worse than a lot of us realize. And I'm sure it's way worse than I realize. Because I am still a white man in America. Hope is the direct enemy of action. Go Green 2020, says Watson. Balthazar, I asked one of my Australian friends what day she voted on. She said Saturday. Go figure. Gun control weekend votings and no mass shootings since 96. Guns for sex might work. Alright, I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but... David is radical. No logical person I know advocates for a total gun ban. For one, it's impossible, and trying would set off a real civil war too. I agree. Yeah, I agree. A buyback is not a gun ban. Those are two different things. So I don't know if you're referring to me by that comment, but if you are, that's not what I was calling for. Never at any point have I said we should have a total gun ban. For the reason you said. It would lead to a civil war. And yeah, I wish we lived in a perfect world. I would love to live in a world without guns. I would love that. But, you know, realistic. It's not going to happen. So no, I don't think it's a good idea to just try to outright ban them. I think... I mean, I wish I had kind of an optimistic perspective. I really don't. I guess Watson thinks if we all vote green in 2020, guns will go away. It's a nice sentiment. I wish I had that kind of confidence. Or that kind of hope. Let's see. Andrew says, the Second Amendment is designed to allow people to revolt against the tyranny of government. Yeah, and it was written a long frickin' time ago when guns were a lot different. And also, I love how we never factor in that well-regulated militia part. We never point out that part. And thank you guys for the Super Chat contributions, by the way. Watson and Balthazar, thank you very, very much for the Super Chat contributions. Much appreciated. We don't even have consistency in arm laws. Balthazar says, guns can be open carry in certain parts of the U.S. Yes, that's true. But you can't have swords, sheathed or unsheathed out. That's right. It's illegal to have a sword. Even at a Renaissance fair. Can't do it there. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty... It's a really... ridiculous situation to be in. DLJ points this out. I have only ever lived in non-gun countries, UK, Singapore, Malaysia. It's a mindset. Guns are only owned by farmers and criminals. Interesting. Balthazar points out in 1791, when the Second Amendment was written, hand grenades and swivel cannons were considered arms. Yeah, and it was meant to be in case there was an invasion. Yeah, I mean, we all know how the Second Amendment is... Math shootings are one of the pathologies Hedges talks about, says David. Spoiler, it's only going to get worse. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, how depressing is that? I mean, as long as this show's been around, there's been 3. In counting. And then, what else can you say? I mean, there's already a clip where I gave my my take on what we need to do, like what we could do that would actually help. I don't feel like repeating it over and over and over again. I just don't. I don't have a desire to do that. Man. Well, let's move on to some other things. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Let me see what you guys are saying. I'm trying to see, I'm trying to trace the timeline here to get to some of your guys' articles, because you guys have been sending in a lot. But we got one to go to first. I'll go to the chat first real quick, and then we'll move on. Balthazar says, the only thing that can kill a bad guy with a musket is a good guy with a hand grenade. All right, cool. Tim points out the Second Amendment was written on a scroll with a feather by wealthy property owners to protect their assets. Cappuccino Conservative, he says that it's been more than 3. I could think of 3 off the top of my head. I believe you that it's been more, but I could think of 3 off the top of my head that we discovered in real time. There's been more mass shootings. I was saying, how many have we just discovered together on this stream? And I could think of at least 3. You know, and again, there's been more mass shootings, but as far as how many have we discovered on this stream together, I could think of 3. And there may have very well been more. And that's just a scary sentiment. This show's been around for 6 months. A 6-month show that's a live streaming show where we talk about what's going on in the world in real time together, where people build the show and send ideas. We have had 3 mass shootings that have taken front and center. At least 3. I could think of 3. I was thinking about it. I was, getting ready, having my coffee, getting ready to log into the stream, and I was trying to think about it, and I can think of at least 3. But Watson points out there have been 307 mass shootings so far in 2018. Balthazar says, and thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution, I'd even be okay with people owning tanks and playing with any guns as long as it's at a regulated range or hunting zone. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things we can do that would kind of make everybody, I don't want to say make everybody happy, because of course there'd be some people that wouldn't be, but that there's so many things we can do that other countries have done that would be effective and would help the situation. You know, a buyback program, references, background checks, exams, ranges, regulation on the amount of ammo you can have. That would be huge. Chris Rock said it years ago. We don't need gun control. We need bullet control. It was a joke. But it's very true. I mean, if we had a regulation on ammo where you can only get so much, and then you have limitations on the guns you can get. But again, I don't have any confidence in that happening. I wish I did. But I have no confidence in any. I do not believe I will see any common sense gun policy in my lifetime in this country. So DLJ, is there a threshold? No, there's not. I don't think. Does anyone think there is? And if you do, here's my question. They came after our children. They're killing our children. Our children are scared to go to school, and nothing's been done. If they're coming after the most vulnerable of our society, our children, if this is affecting our children, and nothing's happened, do you think there's a threshold? No. I don't think there is. If you do, I envy your optimism, and in many ways I admire it. But I can't share it. I mean, I wish there was. I really do. I wish there was. Even with the Ernie asks, even with the Sanders presidency rallying the country, you don't think we can get better gun laws? No. No, I don't, Ernie. No, I don't. I don't think any president would touch it with a 10-foot pole. I think there's a lot of great things we could get, but I don't think gun control would be one of them. They came after our kids. Nothing happened. How many unarmed black people got shot when Obama was president? Nothing happened. And here's a question. There was a... some of you guys are saying if we just vote green, that will help the gun issue somehow. There was a gun proposition on the ballot in California 2 years ago. The Green Party was neutral on it. So, explain that to me. I don't remember all the specifics. I just remember it was in reference to gun ownership, and the Green Party was totally neutral on it. So, I'm trying to see if anyone has an answer. Not that I'm expecting it. I mean, it's not like this is an answerable question today. It's not like I'm like, why don't you come up with the solution? But I'm saying, I'm trying to see if anyone has, a little more hope than I do. right. Doesn't look like anyone does. I don't blame you because I don't have an answer either. Let's move on. And we got some voter suppression news. Let me try to get to the beginning here. But here's a few ballot updates. Fossil fuel industry defeats multiple environmental measures and other key ballot initiative results. Fossil fuel industry interests spent millions on campaigns to defeat measures that would have advanced policies to fight climate change and protect the environment. They largely prevailed. In the state of Washington, a tax on fossil fuels and electricity to reduce greenhouse emissions was rejected by 56% of voters. It would have raised at least $1 billion to fund clean energy projects. Colorado voters rejected Proposition 112, which would have required new oil and gas developments, especially fracking wells, to be 2,500 feet or more from homes. How do you reject something like that? How do you... No, I want it in my backyard. In Alaska, 64% of voters opposed a measure to increase protections on salmon and fish habitats. Well, that's... Why would you want protections on your main industry? Salmon, that's big in Alaska. Whoa, why? Let's not protect that. Screw it. Good job, Alaska. Voters in Portland, Oregon approved a clean energy initiative that imposes a 1% surcharge on major retail companies. The initiative will allow the city to raise millions that can be used for renewable energy projects. Well, that's good. The Democratic Party establishment has shown little interest in pursuing an aggressive agenda to fight climate change. Yeah, it's not... The Green New Deal came from the Green Party in this, for instance. Democrats do not have it on their platform. Thank you for sharing that, David. And that falls under the stuff to be discouraged by, as far as the results go. All right, let's see. Some of you guys were sending some stuff about Tim Canova. All right, this is from Susan. Let's see what this is all about. I know there's been some grumblings. I personally don't understand how Tim Canova would have such a big showing in 2016 and then such a small one 2 years later. It's very peculiar to say the least. So let's see what this is saying. Voter support for Wasserman Schultz. Voter support for Wasserman Schultz foe Tim Canova plummets. Okay. U.S. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz was easily elected to an 8th term. That's a higher percentage of the vote than she received 2 years ago. Joe Kaufman, the perennial Republican candidate, received 36% of the vote on Tuesday. Tim Canova, just 4.9%. It doesn't make any sense. In 2016, Canova ran as a Democrat. He ran as an independent. Canova, in an email to supporters, said he doesn't believe the outcome. To say the least, I do not find the results credible. I mean, the only explanation would be is if enough people in that district and in Florida were so scared of the Republican that they just voted along party lines not to ruffle any feathers. That's the only explanation that makes sense. Otherwise, how does a guy that had a lot of momentum the first time in 2016 gained only more momentum, kind of had a nationwide movement building around him. How does that guy have such a weak showing? And I understand sometimes national movements don't translate in the district because only so many people are in that district to vote. So I understand that part of it. You know, a lot of people, they were like, Tim Canova had such a nationwide movement. Well, yeah, but a lot of his supporters couldn't vote for him. I mean, I was one of them. I wore my Tim Canova t-shirt everywhere I could, and I wore it in Southern California, where presumably no one else was able to vote for the guy. So I understand that, but still, it is very fishy. It is very fishy. And here's something. So let's go over to this. Caught on video, concerned citizen sees ballots being transported in private vehicles and transferred to rented truck on election night. This violates all chain of custody requirements for paper ballots. Were the ballots destroyed and replaced by a set of fake ballots? It's a reasonable question because Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a known cheater. She has cheated before. Any common sense person would say, of course, she'll cheat again. So, you know, I can't say anything definitive one way or another because we don't have definitive proof one way or another. I can say that the results were very shocking. I find them hard to believe. And I think it's certainly worth looking into. And I have not talked to Tim personally since the results. But I can say with the utmost confidence, that guy has poured everything he can into this. And I applaud him immensely if he keeps up the fight and challenges this. If he doesn't, I don't blame the guy. Because he has poured everything into this thing. And it's a really sad thing to see. To just see how corrupt and powerful that Democratic establishment and Debbie Wasserman Schultz is. Whether there was cheating this time around or not. I mean, either way, whether there was or not, and I'm not going to say something definitively until I know for sure one way or the other. But even if there wasn't, she cheated her way to this point in the first place. And she got caught in 2016. She got caught cheating for the DNC, for Hillary Clinton. And she got rewarded. And we live in the United States of amnesia, so I'd imagine a lot of people forgot about that when they showed up to vote. And here you have video of people taking ballots into a van. I mean, how corrupt is this system? It's unreal. And, you know, you're taught at a very young age that cheaters never win. They say cheaters never win. Debbie Wasserman Schultz says, hold my beer. End the clip there, Joe. That's a good place to end it. Wow. Guys, I was really hoping we'd... Go out and hug somebody you care about. If anybody's watching this show for the first time, they're like, wait a second, he's a comedian. This guy who's telling us He's telling us he doesn't think we'll ever see common sense gun policy. He's telling us that the game is rigged. This guy, he's a comedian? No. He's a motivational speaker. Are you shitting me? What? And my voice is a little hoarse. I apologize for that. I got a little congestion going on. Because I took a heavy drag on a pipe that had pot in it. That's what happened. Like it was really, really good stuff because it was election night and I needed to mellow out a little bit. And I was a little stoned. I took like too heavy of a hit. And I woke up and I was like kind of congested. And I think that was the catalyst of all that. This is from Whiskers Crawley. Oh, I guess I already retweeted this. I apologize. All right. Greg Palast. I like Greg. Voter suppression worked. Greg Palast explains why Georgia governor race is headed to a legal battle. Journalist Greg Palast explains how the race between Democrat Stacey Abrams and Republican Brian Kemp will break down. Election day in Georgia was marred by long lines and technical difficulties. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Kemp has refused to concede. And veteran journalist Greg Palast recently explained why she's right for doing that. The hidden story here in Georgia is the fight over the provisional ballot, something that didn't even exist until after the election was stolen in Florida in 2000. And he's right to use that verbiage, by the way. The election was stolen in 2000. The provisional ballots are, if your name is missing from the rolls or there's an ID problem, you get this provisional ballot. You voted provisionally. Now what you fill out, that provisional ballot, it's stuck in an envelope. They decide where that vote will be counted. And Stacey Abrams is insisting all those ballots be counted. And we know, people just assume that that's a thing. Like, people just assume that when they cast a provisional ballot, it may or may not be counted. And they just accept that. It happened at my place. I was at my polling place. Somebody was handed a provisional ballot. And this was a longtime voter. They were progressive. It was obvious in the way what they were wearing. They were a progressive person in what they were supporting. There was an environmental thing. They were handed a provisional ballot, and they're like, well, I know it might not be counted now. And the person said, oh, it'll be counted. And I said, and I didn't want to come down on that person. I know they were a pool worker volunteering their time. Or if they were compensated, I know it's not a lot. And I just said, I admire your optimism. I envy it. And the person said, well, I believe them. And I said, exactly. And then everyone stared at me awkwardly for a few minutes. But really, I mean, so that's, in summary, what's going on in Georgia. She wants all those provisional ballots counted. And going back to the article here for a bit, one month ago, here I'll go back so you guys can see it. 1 month ago, journalist Greg Palast spoke to Salon about the rampant voter suppression in Georgia, in particular, how he had created a website that would help Georgia voters who had been purged from the rolls without their knowledge discover that this had happened. Later, Palast explained how he had learned that 340,000 voters, over 340,000, had been wrongly removed. Oh, and who removed them? Secretary of State Brian Kemp, who is also the Republican candidate for governor. Oh, wow. So the guy running against the other person just happened to accidentally remove some people from the voter rolls. Wonder who he removed. I wonder. I bet it was white Republicans, right? I bet that's who it was. It was just an accident. Wow. These are, as Noam Chomsky calls it, our pristine elections. Good for Stacey Abrams. And I just got a phone call. And it was likely spam. Good for Greg Palast. Good for Stacey Abrams. I guess we'll just continue to watch this unfold. All right, we got time for one more quick one. And then I'm going to go to the chat. And then, all right, this is from Thomas. And Thomas says, Gillum and Nelson might still have a chance in Florida. Okay, let's see what's going on. All right. So this is from Politico. Florida readies for massive recount. The Senate race will be recounted, and the governor's race could be close behind. Election officials and campaign operatives across Florida are gearing up for massive recounts, in large part due to one familiar problem: Broward County. All eyes are on that South Florida county that's no stranger to election mishaps. Nelson ended election night down to Republican Governor Rick Scott by 34,500 votes, a margin that had been trimmed to 26,000 as of Wednesday night. That lead in a state with more than 8 million votes cast is almost certain to narrow headed into Saturday's official start of the recount. And in the Gillum-DeSantis race, there is a 0.5% margin, which would trigger an automatic recount. So there's already demand for a recount in Florida due to mishaps that happened in a certain Broward County, who is no stranger to voting issues. The governor's race count is separated by 0.52%, according to the state, meaning it is slightly above the threshold for an automatic recount. Additionally, 2 state legislative races are in recount territory. But if there was weird shenanigans going on, then you need to have a recount. So I'm trying to see if they go into details about what specifically happened. So they're still counting in Broward. And Broward, of course, was the epicenter of the 2000 presidential recount. Okay, so though there are no concrete figures regarding ballots left to be counted, there are some clues that indicate tens of thousands could be left. In Broward County, for instance, in the State Agricultural Commissioner race, which is the second statewide race already under recount, there are 23,000 vote-by-mail ballots reported to the state versus those counted. So they're saying there's more ballots, there's more out there. You haven't counted them. You got to keep counting. We need a recount. So there it is. There it is. The title of this show is Voter Suppression Thursday. I hope you enjoyed it here in Voter Suppression Thursday, where voter suppression is reported on. And we just kind of go, shit, that really sucks. Really freaking sucks. So let me see what you guys are saying here. .112 was a pseudo fracking ban, as 95% of the new wells would have been banned The oil and gas lobby spent $20 million against 112 and pushed 74, Balthazar points out. And Balthazar is a Chicago resident, or excuse me, Chicago, wow, brain fart. Yeah. Balthazar is a Colorado resident. I said Chicago. Oh, guys, I'm still doing that weird fasting thing. So yeah, I blame that. When will Debbie Does Ballots trend? Balthazar asks. It's a good question. And Balthazar points out, weekly contribution towards the Educate Ron on Free Money and Donation Tracking Fund. Maybe one day he'll take the 5 minutes to set up. And I'm not seeing the end of that, but I'm assuming you're saying Streamlabs. And yes, I know I need to set up Streamlabs. Yeah, I need to set up Streamlabs, I know. I was with Graham Elwood this past weekend in our hotel room. Well, not our, it was his hotel room, but I was next door in a different room. But we did his live stream before we headed to San Francisco last weekend, which, by the way, thanks again for everyone that came out to those shows. We had so much freaking fun. But yeah, he showed me Streamlabs, so I got to see it a little bit. And yes, I know I need to look into it. Let's see here. Ron, I have a serious one for you. I feel like this whole stream has been a serious one. My far radical left conspirator. Okay. Roommate thinks this mass shooting and everything else is a false flag. I think your roommate's wrong. I think your roommate's very wrong. I don't know what else to say about that. Yeah, I think your roommate's very wrong. Let's see. If you're going to cheat, at least have the common decency to use an abacus to crunch the numbers. Stable Genius. So you were arguing with your roommate, Stable Genius Progressive. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's time to get a new roommate. Coding Kriggs. Yes, I did get a haircut today. Tim, I think Lucy is a false flag from Russia. You mind your tongue. You watch yourself. Let's see. Nice buzz. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know what this is? This is the last haircut people get before they go bald. And I'm pretty sure I'm going bald. I think I got like 5 years left. And that's fine. Like, I'm just going to let it happen. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm fine with going bald, whatever. I'm already looking into cool hats I might want to get. So, if I'm right and I do go bald, I had the appropriate final dude that's about to go bald haircut. If I don't go bald, then this is just going to be the longest farewell tour ever. You know what? This is going to be the longest farewell to my hairline tour ever. Because it's like, oh, he's 65. He still has hair on it. I'll be like, shit, I didn't see it coming. But I like this haircut. I like to just do nothing. So there's that. Patricia gives a shout out. Elephant Stone by the excellent Manchester band Stone Roses. And yes, I love Stone Roses. A. Mars points out Lucy on RT was hilarious. Thank you. I still haven't watched the replay. Gordon Dimmick. What's up? Gordon Dimmick. I thought he was going to say this is the last haircut people get before they admit they've given up. Ha! Yeah, I'd like to just... Yeah, dude, I like to just kind of go like this and then I'm ready. I like that. I dig it. And my fiance likes my hair this way. And she's who I'm trying to impress, y'all. If she likes my hair, I like my hair. Watson, oh, that's a funny joke. Watson says, not even close to Hillary's farewell tour. That'll be the big challenge. That'll be the big challenge. Who has the longer... If I don't lose my hair, and it's like 10 years and counting, who's going to have the longer farewell tour? And then I got to write about a bunch of books about it. What happened? I thought I was losing my hair. I thought I was losing my hair, and I'm not. Gordon, you got some fans here in the chat. And Gordon's awesome. You guys should all check him out. Yeah. Bald is beautiful, says Marcia. Thank you, Marcia. I appreciate that very much. Yeah. Gordon Dimmick, great content creator over in the UK, where I was just there. I'm bummed out we didn't get to meet up, Gordon, but that was my fault. I should have reached out to you. Jilly, long hair on guys is so sexy. I had long hair for a long time. I had long hair for years. I don't anymore. But I told you guys my Rocky Horror Picture Show story, and that was from back when I had long hair. Let's see here. What else, you guys? And I kind of wanted to thank you guys for the shout-outs for Lucy. She did make her TV appearance this week. Kate says, if you go bald, please don't grow a beard. I used to have a beard. I wasn't that into it. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. K-Line report, Dianne Feinstein needs a Mad Lib book to get a better speech. Love it. Let's see here. Ron, I'm also a recording artist. Let me know if you want a theme song. Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate that. Feel free to send me some music. I like getting music from people. Feel free to email me some music. Daniel says that Streamlabs is spotty. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never used it. Balthazar swears by it. Daniel, not convinced. Jedi Mullet says, go for a ginger mullet. That would take me so long to grow. Jedi Mullet, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. But yeah, ginger mullet, I don't know. I don't think I could pull that off. Let's see. MS says, go for the Walter White look, Ron. I'm just gonna let it happen. I'm not gonna like rush it by like just completely shaving my head. I mean, I do have a very fair complexion, so when it happens, if it does happen, it's gonna take me. I'm gonna have to be really careful in the sun, even more careful than I already am, and I'm really freaking careful. So, yeah, there's that, guys. We are totally out of time, and I want to leave you guys with this. This is our last stream of the week. We will be back on Monday. And, you know, I got to tell you guys, it's been a weird week. You know, I wasn't expecting us to cover a mass shooting in real time today. I wasn't planning on that. Excuse me. But that's what happened. And that's what we do here. We talk about stuff in real time. So I wasn't going to... I had a light topic plan where we were going to have a fun conversation, but I was like, that doesn't make sense. This is a Get Your News On with Ron. We discover stuff in real time. It doesn't make sense for me to have this goofy conversation when this just happened 40 miles away from where I live. So, and there's a lot to be discouraged about based on this election. There's some to be encouraged about, and we covered the good news and the bad news. Today, there was more bad news because we're seeing more election shenanigans. So, you know, it was mostly more of the negative news today. But I'll tell you guys this. When I was going through the election day blues, as I typically always have, the one thing that really helped me is I would think about the fact that I'm going to marry this amazing girl. And then all of a sudden I would just get happy. So I guess my thought for you guys is try to focus on the goodness of the people around you. Try to focus on the people that you care about, the people that you love. Because in the end, we can make our world a better place if we just try to be good in our community and we try to do good around us and we try to put something positive into the world. I know that sounds a bit idealistic, a bit hippy-dippy, but I am a hippie, and and I do believe that. I think that if we each did something in our community, this country would be a different place. I believe that, and I don't let go of that hope. And even though I don't have a lot of hope for something like a federal gun policy that's sensible, I don't have much hope for that. I don't really have any. But I do have hope that if we all do something in our community, that this world could be a better place and this country could be a better place and a safer place. And I don't give up that hope. And I encourage you guys to do the same. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. A little bit of housekeeping, if you don't mind. We've just confirmed a few more dates. First of all, Texas. It looks like we're going to be hitting Texas in April with the Progressive Comedy Tour. I'll be in Texas before then, November 10th, this weekend. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas. Get your tickets now. We're running out of them. That show's over at ZT, our sponsor, zhitea.com. Their tea kind of rules. We're celebrating their new opening at their new space with a show. And get your tickets now, romplacone.com. November 23rd, I'm going to be in my hometown of Pittsburgh. I can't wait to see you, Pittsburgh. January, we're touring Florida, January 9th through 13th, going to Gainesville, Coral Gables, Orlando, Jacksonville. Get your tickets now, romplacone.com. March, tickets aren't available yet, but we're coming to Pensacola, Florida. We're coming to New Orleans, Louisiana. And if you live in that area and there's other towns you want to see us in, let me know, because we're still planning that run. And if all goes as planned, it looks like February, we might be heading to Hawaii, but that's still a maybe. Details to come. And guys, if you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please consider becoming a patron. For a Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content, including my album. My album was already posted for the patrons. It came out a week ago. The patrons got it. And for a Pay What You Can level, you can give as low as $1 a month. You can get all that too, and more. Patreon.com/romplacone. I love you all very much. Have an amazing weekend. I will see you on Monday, and it's going to be Music Monday. So we're going to be talking some music, and I'm stoked. I got some music news to share with you. And we're going to have some more exciting guests coming up for Music Monday, too. Podcast comes out tomorrow, the Get Your News On With Ron podcast. If you missed anything this week, grab the podcast. We do a summary, and you can get that wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever. Get Your News On With Ron. Please do subscribe. I love you all very much. Stay safe. Have a good weekend. Peace.